Okay, gang's all here. Nice to see everyone. 𝗲𝗁, good to have you back, sir. How are you?
Nice to have you back. It's pretty good. It's nice to be back on the podcast.
No, we know you've got cooler things to do. Lauren, 𝗕𝗏, and I have been here pounding away at these conversations. But again, great to see you. Been a very exciting couple of weeks. Product growth, customer growth, and just a lot of things going on. So excited to sort of recap with that, but also discuss some topics that have been nicely laid out in our Slack channel today. So quickly, I'm Tyler, co-founder of 𝗕𝗏𝗄𝐻, CEO is the title, and really interested in pulling these levers that I think we're actually doing a good job of right now to, get people into using our product, actually using our product, finding value, and then deciding to stick around. And so continuing those efforts here and excited about what's to come. That's all.
Okay. I'll go next. Hello, everyone. This is 𝗲𝗁, CTO at 𝗕𝗏𝗄𝐻, and actually last couple of weeks has been pretty occupied. I'm in India and a lot on the go, also along with the product and the personal life, but always excited to talk about what we're doing, and wanted to join the last week, but something last minute pop up. Anyway, just so happy to share about a couple of technical updates, product updates, and how does that mean to you, along with I'm a little bit deep into the concept called the semantic search, and excited to link up with the speak user and open up a lot of opportunity for them. So that's what I'm up to.
Okay. Lauren? Yeah,
Sure.
there we go.
This is Lauren, the accountant at 𝗕𝗏𝗄𝐻, and I've just been very deep into some customer research. So been finding out, learning more about who's actually using the platform and trying my best to share that.
All right. One thing I was quickly, know 𝗕𝗏 is going to jump in, but one thing that's been great is to see the evolution of Lauren and 𝗕𝗏 not talking over each other. They nicely rotate. They used to introduce themselves at the same time every episode, and now they've designated. So great to see. 𝗕𝗏, we can't see your face, but happy to have you here, sir.
Yeah, no face today. I got bit in the eyes by some snakes, so
that's not true.
No, but yeah, it's nice to have the full team here this time. I think it's been what, a month and a half?
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, so
we've had a couple of technical conversations that were we are really missing a perspective here in this. I'm not sure if we're laying this out right.
Yeah, just giving false information.
Anything else to add, 𝗕𝗏?
Oh no, I guess just been a pretty busy, interesting week on multiple fronts, and yeah, just look forward to some of these topics we're going to discuss today.
Okay, a couple of things I'll just say quickly, which we are not doing. One day I would hope that this would be this cool, awesome podcast I've been watching, obviously this week in startups all the time. Also the all-in-one podcast. I'm enamored with this group of people, but I like what they're doing. They're doing this 5-minute lightning rounds where right at the start they say, here's the 5 topics that we're going to talk about. They spend 5 minutes on it each. And I think, from a sort of engagement perspective or right off the top, it excites someone who's maybe joining, tuning, watching in about what's going to be said, if that interests them, and then allows them to stick around to that moment. So just nice. An option. Yeah, just that. So since you are back for here, I would love for you to sort of share what you're most excited about, because Lauren and 𝗕𝗏 and I have been talking lots about what we're excited about lately.
Okay. There are a couple of things going on, to be honest. 𝗕𝗏, you guys have put a pretty good content around that on the website. 𝗕𝗏, thank you for that. And yeah, if you want to go over the point we said to the speak users and stuff, that also going to be the key piece for today's call.
Beautiful. Okay, I will. What I'm going to try to do, maybe if you want to share a couple of things that you're most excited about, I'm going to pull up that page that 𝗕𝗏's built. Maybe just take a quick scroll through that. And if there's anything I want to stop and double click on, we can do that.
Okay, that sounds exciting.
Also need to change the menu title from quarterly updates to updates.
𝗕𝗏, can you send me that link? I know.
it's in about. Just go our website. About.
I knew it. I'm embarrassing everyone. And oh my God. Okay, here we go. Beautiful. All right, it's coming up. I'll populate this on the screen. And they're basically, we're sending this to people who are, in our following us, who are subscribers to our email list, and we sort of do, quite a good summary every month, but not everyone gets to see that. So we'll talk about it a little bit here, and some of the updates. Oh, Nihal, featured image too. Crispy, sir. Okay. Okay, 𝗲𝗁, go ahead and see if there's anything. I mean, we'll go one by one and see if there's anything or extra color we can add that's not necessarily described right here.
Yep. Okay. So let's hop on with this individual media insights we work upon, and it's like if you're using this product, it's been the same user interface in this individual media insight, that having the multiple chart instances and a lot of green color. And in previous podcast we laugh on that. I mean, it's like there's too much green to look at on the single page with the buttons, instance bar, and a lot of stuff. So that's the one thing we work upon by removing those green buttons, multiple instances, and giving them the clean user interface to interact with that. And along with what you're looking at here is like giving them an ability to search. The search was only available in the transcript, but now search for any keywords, any the categories you have built to identify it quickly. So the value proposition here is also like looking at the informations are getting out of the media, with the open eye clearly. But on the top of that, if you are interested in any of these insights or the interviews that you just wanted to search for, so that's what you can do within a second instead of scrolling the page, clicking on 12 more and stuff. So that's a very interesting piece, giving them an ability to search. It's like Carl is searching for the business, and once you search for the business, and once you click on any of these words, that will open up the instance right below the media player. So I think so, that's the value we are giving, and like you are just showing the instances which you are interested in. So just take a pause if anyone wants to add here for this particular, because everyone play around this individual media page, for quite a bit long time. So how do you guys feel?
Sometimes there's these small improvements to an application that might seem like they're just small things, but to me have an, overall overarching like big consequences and impact. So this was, I know, something that we've talked about for a long time. And then one thing I've noticed, like as a pattern from a development side, sometimes is just like, all these things configure, or then maybe something sort of rises into priority, and with the right timing, the right sort of energy, inspiration, you can execute on that actually very quickly. It takes a long time to get there and actually culminates that moment. But then, I love those moments where it's like something that we've been talking about for, 6 months or whatever, all of a sudden is like, I figured it out. The mechanism to pull is live in development, go test it. And then later that week or the following week, it's actually in production. And so that was one of these moments here. And I think at a core level, what you said is, a main problem that we see just naturally is too much information. We sometimes don't help with that because we actually show too much information in the app. And so to allow people to, quickly filter and only reveal what they care about is obviously important in this. And what, we've had some criticisms of our green. Maybe it's a little bit too bright. Maybe it's a little, so any time we can do that and remove redundancies, like, I can't pull up a previous version, but basically every single one of these categories used to have this line graph, and it was just completely unnecessary. So also finding these moments to optimize the app. And now when you look at this, you are getting a much less possibly blinding experience of it. So I'm always happy about that. And to me, again, this is a moment I've been waiting for a long time, as sort of a data junkie who sort of organizes content and media in a very scrutinous way. And now I want to be able to get to that information quickly.
I also think that it gives us an opportunity to, build towards these kind of curated insights as well for people, and kind of structuring that combined with, the work and research 𝗲𝗁's doing with Semantic Search too. It's going to be pretty interesting. Were you looking up something?
I was trying to bring it in. I did a copy and paste job that I was hoping that no one noticed that. I'm sorry. I know. because I'm in two different incognito tabs right now. Because anyways, I don't want to talk about it. Let's ignore what just happened and continue on the journey. I'll pull the app.
No one knows that. I'll
pull the app back up. Oh my God, I'm so nervous. And we'll talk about what is this next part, 𝗲𝗀, which again, I think is really exciting too. Okay, good. There's no swear words or anything in here. At one point, our default, okay, if I go into custom categories, I might be making something a little, it might be some interesting things in there. So I'm going to stay in the default categories and we can walk through this.
I think so. It's good because we have what we have, like, we're going to talk about and the critical pieces of this default category, which we include the two different options called the include and exclude. And this concept was necessary because before you just can add the vocabularies which you are interested, and that provides by any applications in the market. But everyone knows that in many times because with this automatic topic identification or the keyword identification, brands, entity recognitions, that doesn't provide the accurate insights all the time. They always have this accuracy of from 90% or 99% to 75 or 50%. And in those cases, we always know that we don't want to see this particular person or this particular brand or this particular keyword moving forward in all this media, because it's impacting your overall insights, the analysis you want to do on the media. So that's why adding this exclude concept is really important for the customer to go ahead, click on edit, and just write the word or just copy paste. If you have this, if you have in the CSV file, Excel file, you can dump 1,000 words, within just copy and paste here. And moving forward, we know that the Microsoft is the brand, but that's it. Moving forward, if this is going to appear in your transcription or even in your text notes, that will never include in the analysis. So that's all about the feature of include and exclude.
Yeah. And this opened up, this was really interesting. And 𝗲𝗏 and I talked about this idea of like a parallel in Google Ads, which is called negative keyword list, which is, you're paying to advertise on specific terms. And if someone clicks on that, you could be paying $1 or more for that click. And maybe there's a combination of a keyword or phrase that you don't want to rank on or have to pay for because it's not worthwhile for you. And an example for us is say we're advertising on text analysis software. We would remove the word free so that we never have to pay for that word. And I know it really is sort of this data cleaning, data curation part. And one of the ones that was really interesting, there's an amazing research firm that we work with, and they have a specific amount of, basically the companies that they're specifically tracking are nutrition companies. And so what appeared to us there was that they really only want to track mentions of those specific companies and not mentions of other companies. And so by giving them the ability to exclude or include the ones that they care about and exclude the ones that they do not, there was value created. And we had a great conversation to walk through this, and there was a lot of excitement there. And it also revealed just two quick things to me, which I found interesting, which are in their use case, if there's, individually defining the names of these companies, would it make sense for them to basically have a toggle setting that allowed them to turn brand extraction off, automatic brand extraction, right? But to me, it's also, that's a tough thing to necessarily do, because there may be, say, if they're scraping a bunch of press releases or interviews or something, and a company that comes up that is not in their current data set, they could actually miss out on that insight. And so there's this really sort of, dynamic sort of integration between manual tagging and then automated tagging and then sort of semi-automated tagging, where it becomes sort of this iterative library that gets closer and closer to the most pure, powerful data set that you're actually trying to create. So not sure if you guys have any other insights on that, but this whole concept is really fascinating to me. And you see these sort of not even edge use cases, but these scenarios where one thing makes sense in another, but as our role is to almost try to make this universally valuable for the end user of the customer. And that is fun, but also presents challenges sometimes.
Yep, absolutely. 𝗲𝗏, anything you guys want to add here?
This is 𝗲𝗀 and I nerd out time. I knew this was going to happen.
𝗲𝗏 is a writer.
Yeah. 𝗲𝗏 wrote this post, so he's like, I've had enough of this. Yeah.
I think data cleaning is always going to, the more we can help people drill down, to get the information that they truly find valuable, the better our platform gets as well.
It's a hard proposition, right? Because of course, the ideal part is that you never make a mistake on misidentifying a brand. Because what happens right now, speak the engine, you dump a bunch of text, don't shoot up audio. If depending on how a word is, where it is in that sentence, capitalized or not, the word before that word, we could identify it as a company. And, maybe we get that correct. Maybe we don't get that correct. And obviously everyone wants to get that correct as much as possible, but that's almost an impossible task because new companies, new brands are popping up every single day. And so our system is helping try to generate maybe a company that you had never even thought of or heard of or hadn't considered in your own data set before. And so this need for automatic analysis is valuable. It's just making it as accurate as possible. This one, I think maybe we can all be excited about, which is this sort of, okay, we got a little roasted 𝗲𝗁 by one of our customers for the name of it. So 𝗕𝗏, we might need to go back a little bit on the naming, but overall the functionality was welcomed.
Well,
it's like, why did you call this media?
Okay. Sometimes
I feel like I
changes.
roasted us too.
Right.
Well, see, I would love to hear the solutions because there are so many things to complain about. The reason is like Facebook changed to Meta, and it's like, everyone's like, what does that even mean? It's like, okay, do you have the better suggestions? Just throw that. So overall, like, the embeddable media does make sense to me because it's about you're selling the media or like, going in this individual media and you're selling publicly. And before it was like this embeddable recorder, and in that the recorder was categorized. So what we have done is like I put the embed, and in this embed created two different categories. The question I asked, like, okay, do we want to change this embed to the 𝗨? Because we talk about the pillar of the speak, capture, analyze, 𝗨 as the basic pillars and the improvements, and that's a different story. But okay, we got the create or the capture or the management, and then this embed. So again, the domain also we are on is this embed of recorder or embed.media. So also like, a lot of things were already pre-connected, and changing that to something else wasn't making sense at that time. But okay, even in the future, we always can change things and stuff. But overall, this functionality is opening up. You might have shared like a lot of media from your individual media player or individual media audio video, and this place organize you all and everything in terms of the recorder in one place, and you can see the total views that people have, check your iframe or even the page. On top of that, by just simply clicking on even the row now, Tyler, you can open up this edit embeddable media player, and all the settings are also you can access from that. So the functionality is same. But what is on top of that? It's allowing you to also show your not just the media, but also the individual folder or the multi-folder, and manage that or delete that if it is not necessary, if it is not important anymore. And just to talk about a little bit on the value proposition, and what was the problem statement. Number one was managing and going through this individual media, doesn't know was that already publicly available or not. Number two, because we also allow to sell the folder, it's also difficult to like how to look at it. Is this already shared? What's the status of that? Number three, because you're already publicly sharing, it's the sort of the mindset of, as a human, we just wanted to see the likes, we just wanted to see the views, and like, you both are working on the Google Analytics, like, you are linked up with these numbers, and we want to see the locations or the geographical data, the mobile device data, is like, where are they coming from? And so that's going to open up a lot of opportunity. It's just about the time when we are going to execute those things, and the graph, the complete analytics you can see. And I think so that's going to be mind-blowing by looking at where the people are clicking, what type of insights are they interacting with your individual media player or even the folder. And once we hook everything in one page, that's going to be the fantastic user experience, the user value, and also provides a sort of the feedback mechanism we call to improve your behavior or to improve the overall, that could be the analysis or the research you're doing. So that's the problem statement and why this change was important to make at this moment.
And I think, you said something there about, these three pillars which one of them being share. And the share is really a crucial one. Won't jump into this topic now, but also for us, there's this product-led growth that when you're allowed to share, then there's better understanding of our platform and the interactive elements. And actually you have maybe this breakthrough experience with interacting with media. But at a core value level for our users, if I share a video out, or, even if I share, say, this library out, I want to know, did anyone open up the link that I shared? Did anyone interact with this information? And what's really fascinating is because of the way that we've built this, I click on, say, Canadian here. That click is actually giving me an insight into what someone is interested in. And there's a sort of level of analysis, a level of interaction that is possible today in our system that we're not really finding in other systems out there, that gives you an entirely new insight into how people are interacting with your media. And I was lucky enough today, actually had a meeting with a person who's worked in specifically ed tech for 10 years. And they're having this problem, which is too much information. And, we have this media list, like too much information, these big courses of what could be valuable information populating, but the users or the people who are taking that course are having a tough time navigating through it all, or if they need to go back and reference something, finding that exact moment. And I think there's possibilities for a lot of that to be solved, or at least, get closer and closer to that with what we've built today. And so views that we're seeing here, that's just one layer of this, but we're working with people who are using our system to identify what do they value, what other information do you want to know, how can we analyze and visualize that information to give you insights so you can actually make better decisions, make better content decisions, not waste time, not waste money, and all the important things that comes up with creating content, which can be an expensive, time-consuming task, and you want to get that return on investment in it. And it also brings me what I feel is closer to some of the original mission of Speak, but also a wheelhouse that I feel very confident in, and that I know 𝗕𝗏 feels really confident, which is dealing with this analytics layer and extracting the valuable part out of that information so that you can make these better decisions. So very exciting, and just the beginning of something I think we can go pretty deep on here and actually move pretty quickly on based on some feedback of our users.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, how long they spend the time on this media libraries, like that's also like another piece, like because it's like if someone investing their time looking at your library, that's something that they're looking into it too. So yeah.
𝗕𝗏, you're off mute. You have something to say, sir? You got it?
No, sorry. I'm like testing out like the mic I got has like a mute button on it.
You've got your headphone mic?
And you won't hear me.
Yeah. Okay. We'll move on from this after this. I think there's just maybe two other quick interesting points that we'll jump on here, and then we'll shift to a couple things I'm personally interested. I'd love to hear about some of this semantic search piece, but one of the things we've talked about this, so we won't spend too much time on it, is this idea of the shareable libraries, and we've just made it more obvious, more apparent. Now, I will say, if you are on a free plan or, one of the, sort of starter plans of Speak, I think if you click this button, you might not get exactly what you hope, but, this is sort of one of these enterprise sort of functionalities that we've built. Very powerful, very excited about it. And, if you do want to explore the full functionality, send us a message. Happy to give you some testing around. And then, if it is giving you the value that you want, we can figure out what's the best way to proceed. But we're seeing some adoption from research firms here who really love delivering insights in a new information, rich, interactive way, as well as some marketing companies and even some other use cases that we're really excited about. And then this one has been coming for a bit. A couple things, right? Just a little update. You'll see a dynamic word cloud once you actually upload. So before we just had this static image, I believe, of a rocket when you're building a company. Yeah, exactly. So I've been uploading. I got an awesome word cloud last night, and I know that might seem sort of like a small little adjustment, but this email, this sort of delivery of information that's outside the Speak app is actually an important part of creating value for users. And I think, building this loop of assets that's helping summarize the information that's taking place in something that could be a long conversation or whatever it is that you're actually analyzing. And there's going to be some more, more adjustments to this email as we go forward.
also, I just quickly I need to say that for the if you scroll up a little bit, like there's a chips in the email. It's like, you know, Tara and a little bit push about like,
Yep.
okay, can we display a little bit better, because before it was like just the comma separate the string without any saying that how many times, you know, the start or the idea was talked about. So yeah, I mean, appreciate for that a little bit push, and that just bring this a little more pretty insights to display.
And lastly, beautiful thing, new authentication, new registration Uis. I annoyed 𝗣𝗁 about this in the development channel for, I don't know, a while. And, you know, and we had this image beside it. Actually, you can see the image, you know, just below, I think, of what it was. And, you know, what it just did was it created a little bit too much stimulation and information when you actually went to log in and register. And I've personally enjoyed the new interface. It's much cleaner. I feel like this is the first touch point for a lot of people of the app. Once they go from speak to the app, and making that as clean as, you know, a limited amount of information that's unnecessary as possible is important. And I think we've seen some, you know, even some nice signals this week that change has been a welcome one. So any last thoughts on that? I mean, that's a lot of changes to push out. Like that was a long email that came together with everything. So any last thoughts as we sort of wrap up what has been a very busy March in terms of product development and releases?
Yep.
Nope.
I think we lost him.
It was been like the last 2 weeks, and oh, can you hear me? I can hear you guys. Okay,
You're back.
cool.
You're back now. Yeah.
Okay. I thought it's just the band drop. Yeah, I mean, it was been a busy week, to be honest. And also it was like last 2 sprints, and along with that, I was just excited to walk through all these changes, because like, of course, the critical at the same time, and also, to be honest, it's also giving me some more opportunity to work on the more critical stuff than this, because, you know, sometimes you just push things away to get on the hands what exactly you want to do, you know, work on like more challenging things. Of course, the things needs to be done at any cost. There's no if else but then it just opens up a lot of other opportunities that you can bring a lot of value along with that. And just need to say that the push we made these changes was the 1000th PR we call on the GitHub. So that was the heat. So we made like around 1000 pull requests on the GitHub. So that's all of the milestone we hit with this and the March end. Specifically on the client side. So that was exciting.
A pretty bug-free release here as well too. So that's always nice to see.
All right.
All right. You know, so okay, you know, Nihal and I always come with a bunch of things, but 𝗣𝗁, so maybe you're deep into looking in this right now. Let's talk about the semantic search a little bit. And if Lauren, Nihal, I hope we can get you in on this. If you have any questions, you know, what is this? Why is this important? Why is 𝗣𝗁 doing this right now? You know, would love to sort of have that conversation, because I think this is a very exciting. I say this already, but a culmination of a lot of the work that we've done to sort of get this value out of these databases that are being built within Speak.
Yep.
Do you want to like explain like what you mean by semantic search too?
Okay. So for example, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just see the error message about the bandwidth. So in the simplest language, like, you know, everyone is familiar with the Google search. It's like the way you search, it's just not looking for the words, but it's looking for the context. That could be nowadays like explanation or the description of the image also getting pulled out from the Google. So it is not just looking at your you know, the words written in the article or something like that. Or in different language, let's say if you're searching for the city, it's not just looking for the word city, but it's looking for the Toronto. If you're in Canada, Vancouver or India or, you know, 𝗪𝗲𝗁. So what I will talk also a little bit more about the context around the Speak, and like how is going to be the impactful for the customer, and what does that mean, along with the in the layman language, what is this semantic search. So again, I said like it's more than looking at the words, but also, you know, around the context of the query. And let's say I said this Spotify article a couple of days back, and like if you look at, they were also looking just for the words for so long time. It's like brilliant engineers, very big team, and they were also still searching for just the words. But now if you search on the Spotify, along with the query, you might also get the song title, the description, or the lyrics, and many more. So in with context to the speak, also we are of course looking for the words that written in the transcription or the text notes. But now that's open up a lot of opportunity to looking at the context around the words. So for example, again, I'll take an example of the CT. If you're searching for the CT on the speak, right now it's just going to identify the words that include CT in your transcription or text. But now that could be the location. If there's like my location is blah blah blah, that also supposed to get pulled off, or and the search insights, like again the Toronto or the city names and stuff, or even if like I wanted to live in XYZ that represent that you're talking about some city here. So that's the whole idea. But of course, the idea comes with the technical challenges, its complexity, and that's how it takes time to build it with the right approach and the strategy. And of course with the resources. So that's a little bit about like the semantic search, and it's like it's also like look for example the synonyms, the paraphrase, or around that. So just take a pause, then I will go through about little deep into the techniques and stuff. But yeah, any other thoughts?
It was really interesting. I don't know if Nihal remembers this the one day, but we knew that this is something we wanted to do and we were working towards. And so I asked like Nihal, what are some sample questions that you would like to ask Speak or the media library? And I remember, and it's the same challenge I'm having, which is trying to create an example query that might be asked. And obviously we have different use cases, different industries. And like what Nihal did was very, sort of rigidly, not in a bad way, but like confine it to what he already knows is in the system, right? So like, what is the sentiment of, or what brand is mentioned most? And those are questions that we are already sort of answering. What I'm excited about is what questions will come up that we are currently not answering. And so we have been asking some of our customers that we're having, conversations with, whether live chat or Zoom calls or whatever. It's like, can you give us some questions that you would think that you would ask or that you're looking for in your sort of knowledge base or your media library? Like what are those, so we can help build this mental model? Because one of the experiences that I'm having is that difficulty to sometimes create those questions, and also the infinite possibilities of what those could be. So again, I'm just very excited about that. And I'm seeing use cases emerge where, say it's educational tech, like, say this person who wants to make some introductions here, brings some educational text, and then they're interacting with the course. Those questions could be a lot different than someone dealing with, say, healthcare data or marketing data. And so how can our system accommodate those?
But okay, go ahead.
No, I think to me, like what I'm really, and even one of the questions, sorry, Glass, is like, can I be able to type in just a very general search? Actually, I don't know what I'm saying here. It's like, what's, can I compare last month to the previous month? And what if you don't give enough information of what are you comparing? Is our system capable of generating any response, or will nothing happen? Like these sort of edge cases or use cases where if we don't guide someone with questions, they could ask something that doesn't create any result. And I just think this is an amazing process to go through.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. But there are a couple of different pieces here. So one is the search. So you're looking for something and you're expecting the results pop up. The second is you're asking for a specific question. Is like, what was the sentiment about XYZ, or what was the comparison from the last month? So in those cases, you're expecting some numbers, or you're expecting the response in a different way. So the fundamentals we all need to understand. The questions or the query you are asking are the different, but the response you are expecting. Because when you search for something, you are looking for the top 10 results or top 15 results, right, out of that particular query. But when the query becomes the questions, that in that case, you're expecting some numbers. Then you are looking for something very specific for that particular question. So in that cases, both the things are fundamentally different. Because let's say, okay, can you search on the Spotify that, who was the most played song or who was the most played singer? No, you're not going to get the results from that, because that is more aligned with the analytics of the data, not the search query. So those are the two different engine runs for this particular problem. So we are talking about two different problems. One is just looking for the data. Again, like very simple language as example on the Spotify, you're looking for some songs, some lyrics, that's a one part. But when it goes to some analytics, that's the different piece, different engine, different response, different, the way we present the data, that's going to become different. And the last piece is like, okay, merging both the thing into the one. That's where the more complexity comes into the picture, because first of all, you need to understand what is the type of this query. Is that the question or is that the normal search? And then you just need to represent both the things into the one simple interface. So again, what we are initiated is the search part. The question part comes later when we have the data or the understanding of the context. Because if we just look at the data, then we will miss the fundamental of the context. Then we're just looking for, hey, you talk about location city for 15 times, but that's not accurate at all, right? You talk about 500 times because we miss the whole idea about that, context set. So that's the step. The version 1 is going to be search, version 2 is going to be the question, and the version 3 is going to be the merging of both the pieces to represent users in the simpler way. I hope that makes more little bit sense.
Yeah, it sounds like eventually you're going to want to try and have it, try and ask like qualitative kind of questions. Like it seems like you can ask like a quantitative question pretty easy, like how many times did this occur? How much of this happened this month compared to last month? Which seems, pretty simple, but you're trying to get more into qualitative questions. Like that's just how I'm kind of perceiving it right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly, because the questions are going to be how or what, or like, in that context, we just need to identify the entities from those questions. So are you looking for XYZ? Is that the category comparison? Is that the date comparison? So for example, when I was taught, okay, so the query could be in this interview, when the person talk about the Apple brand. So now we know the entity is Apple brand. Person, we are looking for who the most recent data, or who initiated, who was the first talk about the Apple brand. So then it becomes the creation date is the context or the entity, you can say the date time, and the Apple brand is the entity. So now we know that what exactly entity we are searching into the database. And like the most positive sentence, right? So most positive, the most itself become the date range, the sentiment positive. So we are looking for these three entities. So in this case, it's way more different than the search query than this entity search. You can say the conversation part, the way the Google Alexa work, the Google Home Alexa, right? Because when you design this Google Alexa conversation UI, what you are defining is the entity or the categories you wanted to put. So for example, I built this application for the support customer team for one of the company. And the question was like, what's your complaint? So now the complaint become the entity and the response is linked with that. When this happened, the date range become the entity that is linked. And now at the end, all this questionnaire ends. We just create the one full sentence, this problem, blah, 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 starts at this is what happened, right? So this, just giving you an example of what the entity means in this conversation UI. And that also opens up a lot of opportunity for the chatbot question answer. It's like you can just do the conversation with the speak itself by asking the simplest question, and you can follow with those questions too. So that's just giving more context around the search query versus the conversations questions, or sort of an idea.
It's interesting though. It's hard from a technical standpoint, you're making that separation, but there needs to be, again, some example questions or almost education for people to have a positive experience with this that again gives them the result that they're looking for, because, and then I'm looking just like two examples, one personal, which is like, what was my most positive day last month? Like
last month, positive sentiment, right? Yeah. So now automatically you can link up this entity in your mind.
And then the other one I could see from more of a research side is like, how do people in in the last month feel about WhatsApp? So how do you feel about WhatsApp? So then how do we actually compute that? And again, that layer that you're saying, which I think is like is there computation on the back end that's possible? That doesn't seem like that's the layer that's right now, because the computation is already done for the original analysis. But I say, how do people feel about WhatsApp? The current model that I would do for that right now is type in WhatsApp. WhatsApp would be a default category with a tag, or sorry, a keyword or phrase. I would do that, would filter by WhatsApp, and then I would see all the sentences that contain WhatsApp in them with the sentiment. But
you're missing one piece to add here, because the changes it's going live are also going to, well, let's say if you're looking for any words, what we are going to open up is the overall sentiment for that particular query.
Exactly.
It's
Beautiful.
problem.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that solves the query about, hey, this is the overall sentiment for any particular query. You might search for WhatsApp, you might search for XYZ. And then you was like, okay, why that is 80% positive versus 20% negative. Show me only the negative videos, or whatever the negative content, why is this negative around the sentiment, right? So that solves the problem around the sentiment analysis. And again, the most positive, the most negative, it's already possible by sorting out the data with the creation and stuff.
Because it's just for, again, that, so we're by using WhatsApp, you're putting a filter in, which is filtering out most information. Say you do 200 interviews, now you're only getting every interview and then actually the exact sentence that has WhatsApp in it. But then you're then trying to summarize that information even more. So you're then trying to say, get a pie chart of the sentiment of that. But then the next question becomes why positive or why negative? And then there's that other part that's even a further down, like, so
that's where you need to look for the information.
Yeah. But ideally we help present that information. Not that that's a requirement here, but so if 60% was positive, 40% was negative, how can we show them why it was positive, or the words related, or the reason why it was positive versus negative? And right now, I think we've streamlined this process a lot already. I'm just thinking of that maybe that ideal visionary version of this for a non-technical person who literally just wants to ask the question and get the answer. So that's beyond our scope today, but it's exciting things to think about. And I think as we continue this mission of sort of trying to democratize this access to it, it becomes very exciting. And then one last part, which is sometimes I just don't know if if you keep uploading, say you have 100 interviews in, like some questions are going to fit the data set that you have. And because this is the other part, is not our responsibility, but like, if we can't provide a sufficient answer, it's not like we can source the entire internet.
No, that's the reason. That's what I wanted to touch
yeah.
upon. Also on your previous point, when you talk about this data set piece and also the context missing, right? It's like how the system going to know everything about the education industry and the healthcare, right? So the thing different what we have. Okay, let me start with the 𝗕𝗏𝗁 example. So what they have, or the Wikipedia example, let's say if you want to search anything on the Wikipedia, that's going to pull up from the Wikipedia, which is publicly available data. Okay. Number two, let's say if you're looking for the Spotify, you search, I search, anyone search, you're looking in the public, sort of all the data they have. But with the Speak, what we are going to do is like we are looking for all the data stored in your account. So your account automatically becomes the data set for this query. So that's the challenging, I would say. Also at the same time, the questions also have personalities, like how we can resolve that. Because let's say if you just want to analyze, if you just want to build the model around the Spotify data or the Wikipedia data, those are pretty standard. The context, the title, description, image, blah blah, is like song name, song description, song lyrics. The columns are pretty standardized. In our case, we need to standardize the data or the structure of the data by the user. So your data become automatically the context around what you're going to look for. And the industry just become the secondary, because we are just building the model on top of your data. Doesn't matter what type of industry that is, because the data you will store, the answers you will get in the simplest language.
Sometimes, though, I think there will be this moment where you're trying to search in your own database or media base, and the answer is just not there. And at that point, go do a Google search, you know what I mean? And actually access the world's information. Like, you might be looking for an answer that maybe part of it is in your data set, in your library, but only part of it. And so you actually are going to need to consult outside sources to get the final answer that you're looking for, right? Like we're relying that people have built, like our one nutrition research firm, like she sometimes could not get the answer that she's looking for unless she literally scrapes all the newsletters that are coming out. It's her responsibility to build that data set and make her data set then applicable to produce the answers that she's looking for. If she doesn't get that information and curate it into speak, it's not going to happen, and she's going to have to search in a different way. So anyways, I just think.
And also the question is, let's say if you're looking for, like, let's say when Barack Obama was born, and if you don't have any data.
Yeah, exactly. Did you say Barack Obama was born in one of your conversations? If not, that answer is not going to be there.
Yeah. So it's simple as that, right? So you need to have this context around that. You need to have the data in the data set, and then your question just connect that. It's like then the healthcare or the ed tech that technically not much matter, right? Because we are just building on top of your data set to help you out answering those questions and also looking for the more context.
Yeah. Nihal, any thoughts? We're coming to the end of this. This was was a blur. Great to have 𝗣𝗀𝗄 back. I feel like the conversation is a little different with 𝗣𝗀𝗄 back, which I enjoyed. Hopefully anyone who cares about some of the technical ends of this appreciated this, because I'm, again, really excited, and I learn every time 𝗣𝗀𝗄 shares insights from doing some of this stuff.
I guess within the this concept of building a data set within your account, obviously, and then having access to this external or crowdsourced database, whatever it would be, would those be two different systems, or would they kind of, would it be possible to make them interact with each other? So if someone didn't have the query stored within their account, would there be a way for us to automatically provide that information using this publicly available data? Like, obviously that would be, let's say, another step, or like V2 or V3 but that is
V5.
V5.
Yeah.
So the reason is why, like, can you elaborate that piece? Is like why?
Oh, like,
it's like you can do the Google search for that. If you're
no, exactly. But I guess it's more like eliminating, because like we talk about this idea of helping people just stay in one place in order to. What's up?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's more like, obviously, like if we can bring that data, obviously they can Google it, right, if they don't have it. But if we can actually help them, once again, depending on limitations around like API access or data set access with external databases, but if there was a way for us to integrate that and help pull in some of that data, because just thinking about, like I'm just within my frame of reference when it comes to software that uses public data sets, right? Like, so, like a lot of marketing software uses public data sets and then kind of builds their own query style that supports the task they're helping you do. So if we were actually able to, let's say, bring that experience into our platform for people, now they're just doing everything within our platform. They're not, leaving, Googling it. They can actually just bring that directly into their presentation or their library, whatever that might be, right? As an extension.
So are you connecting with this point to importing the data on the speak, or are you connecting this dot with the finding the results from their query? Because then it become, again, like two different things. Like if you're on the Explore Insight page,
for sure.
and if you're looking for, again, the same questions like when Barack Obama was born, it's like, okay, it's like, okay, that question we can pull up from the Wikipedia, but how relevant this context is, or how relevant the overall, the problem statement is here, right? It's like, like, of course, the pulling up the data or the solution part is different story, but what is the core at the objective of solving that problem? It's like, or if you're saying that, if you're saying that could more helpful to import the data in the speak, then that would make sense, because then it become importing the media or audio, video, or the text. If you're searching for something, it's like
if you don't
like that would be
to,
the idea. Oh, sorry. Yeah, like the idea would be to kind of bring all that data into, let's say, you're building a project around Barack Obama, right? For whatever reason.
Yeah.
And now you have all this, like this, you've built this database that you can now share because you've curated it in a way that is I guess, specific to the way you want to share or display or talk about this information, right?
It's such a philosophical conversation that's actually happening there. And it's like, what problems do we want to solve? And I think it comes down to, this is where it really matters, where you interact with your customers and see the questions that they're answering. Because we could, we can't source the world's information, and although maybe that would be cool, it's not necessarily maybe direct alignment with it. But I think at the end, if someone asks Speak a question, we hope that we can give a sufficient answer. And sometimes that sufficient answer could come from this qualitative information-rich library that they've built, and sometimes it might not. And so if that answer is not there, what is the solution? Do we just tell them, hey, go look elsewhere? Do we give them, here's what, and I got to go.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
why not? Oh, okay. But I mean, the couple of options, like what let's say on the call it does is like, okay, if any error occur, they pull up a couple of resources automatically from the stakeholder frame, and they just give you the sort of the what you call the sort of the cheap or the
rich snippet preview or something.
Yeah, snippet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry. I'm sad I had to cut this short. I think it was starting to get intense, but I have a meeting and I try to show up on time. Thank you so much, guys. I know we did this a little bit later here today, and hope this, you enjoyed this conversation. I know that's when I talked a lot, but we're excited about some of these things, and hope you are too. Any closing words before we jump off?
Have a good weekend, guys.
Yeah,
have a good weekend. Yeah, we didn't quite get through our listed topics, but that's okay. That's okay. Thank you, everyone who tunes in. We love you all. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
See you, everyone.